Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Thursday, a little past 1, which means it's time for the adventures of Boy Boy in the third dimension. I'm your host, Toasted Pencil. Last week we left off with Boy Boy. He got himself a brand new talking black-spotted weasel who knew everything and could talk. Also, he retrieved the CD player that belonged to it from the Blue Lemur. Now we move on to today. As Boy Boy approached another glorious morning, this time with his trusty companion by his side, he noticed on the calendar that it was National Meatloaf Day. And he got really excited. As he went to his dining room, he procured himself a hearty bowl of meatloaf, the breakfast of champions. Following suit, he went into the living room to turn on the television and listen to a stream of music from the famous rock artist of a similar name. Of course, afterwards, he got bored. He was starting to get weary of the same songs over and over again, until a commercial came up, sort of advertisement, promotion for a local event. You see, because it was National Meatloaf Day, the city, hosted by the mayor, was running a festival of sorts, all themed around meatloaf. Boy, I couldn't resist. And so he looked to his favorite weasel and said, hey, wake up. We're going to go to the Meatloaf Festival. All-knowing Weasel said,
I know you want to go to the festival, but why do you have to wake me up for it?
Boy Bear replied, well, because I need someone who knows what to expect of this festival. Anything can happen. Anything could go wrong. I may need your help. The all-knowing Weasel snorted and replied,
Well, if you say so. But I'd rather not touch meatloaf. Now, if there's some blueberries, I would appreciate that very much.
Boy complied. And so he got his belt from his house, gave him a leash, a chew toy that he left in his pocket, and proceeded onward toward downtown. As he approached, he noticed that there were blimps, balloons, parades all throughout the streets. Citizens were throwing candy at each other. Apparently, National Meatloaf Day has a sort of candy fight for all the civilians. Basically, if you can bombard someone with the most candy, you win a lovely box of Hamburger Helper. Wow, Boy thought, this is amazing. Everyone's so lively and active. The all-knowing Weasel snorted at them. He's like,
Yeah, but that's candy. That's not meatloaf at all.
Boy agreed. So he looked around and said, okay, there's a lot of candy, but where's the meatloaf? That's the real star of the show. And on top of one of the skyscrapers, squinting as hard as he could up at the horizon, he saw the mayor standing on top with a megaphone, speaking down to all the civilians down at the parades. And he said to his people, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the National Meatloaf Celebration. Enjoy all of the meatloaf and the candy and whatever non-meatloaf products we have. And don't forget the gravy. Boy thought those were truly inspiring words. The weasel, of course, expected it and just paid no attention. Instead, tried to sneer kids away from the candy and pick it up as a snack to eat. There were no blueberries, but the weasel would accept them nonetheless. Well, Boy thought to himself, what event to start with now? The all-knowing Weasel gave him an idea.
I have an idea,
The weasel said.
Why don't you do the meatloaf eating contest? The winner gets free meatloaf for a week.
Boy replied, is that the prize, or is that just the effect of the contest? Who said,
I don't know, but, it's a free meal, so who cares?
Boy thought that was fair. So they moved on over to the National Bank, where the contest was being upheld. Needless to say, somehow the mayor managed to approach the bank. He was already there, despite being on top of a building elsewhere. Welcome, boy. I see you're here for the meatloaf eating contest. Well, you're going to have a true contest, indeed. The competitors that you are surrounded by are the fiercest, hungry warriors. They have trained all their lives for this moment. I think you may recognize a few of them. Boy looked around, and he did think they looked familiar. In fact, he could have sworn that he's served them food in the past, and it struck him. They were all baseball players. The same baseball players that visited Boy's restaurant just a while back. And he knew they could eat. And he knew they had money. But could Boy stand a chance against the fierce baseball-playing, meatloaf-eating machines? The all-knowing Weasel thought so. As he sat down at his seat, the baseball players took their place. The table was filled with a fresh aroma. Loaves of meat and cups of gravy decorated the table on their checkerboard patterned cloth. The day was warm, but not hot. The sun was bright, but not blinding, and the clouds were in just the right areas to give a pleasant atmosphere, a perfect day for consumption. The Adventures of Boy in the Third Dimension is brought to you by Waffle Tape. Tired of your Belgian breakfast falling apart on you when the syrup gets soaked in? Fend it off with Waffle Tape, the revolutionary new consumable adhesive strip for your waffles. Simply slap it on your waffle and enjoy your morning routine without the soggy mess. Waffle Tape, the tape for waffles, from the people that brought you pancake glue. Now back to our program. The all-knowing Weasel continued to snark at kids and take their candy while Boy was prepared for the meal of his life. Again, not quite sure whether a week's worth of meatloaf was the prize or just an aftermath of eating so much meatloaf in order to win the competition. But he was determined, he was ready. He started his day the right way with a bowl of meatloaf. But then he was having regrets, having doubts. Maybe he shouldn't have had breakfast to begin with. Maybe he should have kept hungry for this occasion. Did it matter now? The bell had rung, and the contest had begun. He shoveled down delicious meat and chugged gravy as fast as he could, while the competitors did the same. As they went loaf by loaf, cup after cup of delicious gravy. Boy was starting to feel full. He was starting to feel tired. He was kind of craving something else. Perhaps a sort of a dairy treat. In his cheeks filled with delicious food, he tended to mumble, I could use some ice cream right now. Some plastic-flavored ice cream. The mayor overheard his mumbling. As the crumbs of meatloaf chewed from his mouth and gravy dribbled from his lips, the mayor, witnessing this ordeal, couldn't ignore Boy at this point. For he had revealed that he knew the secret that was plastic-flavored ice cream, the mayor's creation. And only a select few knew about it. As the competition continued, baseball players were already on their 15th loaf, while Boy was only on his 3rd. I'm full, Boy said, as he withdrew from the table, receding from the competition, only to bump into the mayor right behind him. The mayor asked Boy, I notice you chewing out words that seem to a little familiar. Could you repeat what you said earlier as to what you are craving other than meatloaf? Boy said, I want plastic-flavored ice cream. The mayor said, how did you know about that? And Boy said, right. It was you. You created it. I know you. You are actually one of the Cyber Amish. You came up with the idea of plastic-flavored ice cream using the placing stave of wonder a long time ago. That's how you gained economic prosperity and worked your way to the top as mayor, isn't it? The mayor looked at him and said, ah, you know my secret. I see you tip the milkman quite well. Impressive, Boy, very impressive. And Boy wondered this whole time. I noticed at the start when I first came downtown that you mentioned my name. And even now you still call me Boy. How is it that you know my name? The mayor replied, well, it's because you pay your taxes, of course. I know everyone that pays their taxes. Boy thought, yeah, but how do you know they're that person, not some other person? The mayor replies, because currency gives away your identity. If you pay with one currency, you're one person. If you pay with another currency, then you're obviously another. Boy thought that made sense. So Boy asked the mayor, well, how secret is it to be? Secretly, Cyber Amish, one of the most technologically advanced people in the city. The mayor said, it's a very, very secret. Not many people are ready to know the glory of what we do, of what we create. So we hold back on it. Some of the best wonders we keep for ourselves. Perhaps someday when it's ready, we'll make more mystic artifacts. Like the lawn chair of destiny. Boy froze. How did the mayor know about the lawn chair of destiny? Well, in hindsight, he realized that it was kind of obvious if he was one of the Cyber Amish, he must already know that the lawn chair of destiny was one of their creations. But he had to ask, Mr. Mayor, did you use the lawn chair of destiny? The mayor replied, indeed I have. The weasel, Boy's pet, approaching now slightly chunkier after eating all that candy that he scared the children away from, said,
yeah, I already knew that.
Boy could not believe what he was hearing. Someone else went through the same ordeal as Boy, which means he must have had to find a frog in order to see the lawn chair. Or maybe the Cyber Amish have special eyes to see it without the need of a frog. And so Boy proceeded to ask the mayor, well, you built it, you made it, so do you know what kind of adventures I have to go on? The mayor replied, yes, I do, but I believe that spotted weasel of yours must know as well. He seems to be the all-knowing weasel, is he not? Boy was like, how did you know that this weasel knows everything? The mayor replied, because I see his spots, and I know what they represent. I know the spots that aren't there and what they represent. Boy was wondering what was the connection between the all-knowing weasel and the Cyber Amish. He never quite understood that before. But if the mayor used the lawn chair of destiny, just as Boy has, wouldn't that mean that he traversed the distortion of reality just like him? Did he come from the same spot? Well, obviously it's the same mayor. Does he know what properties have changed? Obviously, he can't give him the secrets of what adventures he has to go on, because that would imply that that they would stop being adventures, because part of an adventure is for it to be unknown. So Boy asked, well, Mr. Mayor, is there anything that I should probably procure? Should I brush my teeth? Will I have an adventure today? Mayor said, I will tell you no such thing. But I see that you are quite full of meatloaf and gravy. You've lost the competition. I apologize, Boy, but our conversation will have to wait. I must announce the winner. The all-knowing weasel replied,
well, I hope you enjoyed that answer from the mayor. What else did you want to do?
Boy said, I don't know. This is kind of taking me aback. Quite a bit. Let's see what other attractions there are. So Boy, waltzing away from the table of meat and gravy, started to check out the floats. And there were a lot of floats. There were elephants, there were giraffes, there were tall floats, short floats, root beer floats, banana boat floats, and floats. There was beer floats, but it's kind of odd to have beer floats on National Meatloaf Day. That's fine. There was even two peculiar floats. One of a meatloaf and the other of a giant bar of gravy, solidified. Boy, I'd never seen it before. But then he realized that's not gravy. He was taken aback. He was terrified. It was actually nougat bar. The bar that is pure nougat. Boy had to shield his eyes from the vision of the monolith hovering above him. As it temporarily blocked out the sun, he looked at the other floats going by. One of them being of a tall man with a whisk. He was pondering, what does a tall man with a whisk have to do with meatloaf? And he realized, it's professional chef Smargo. Smargo is a renowned chef, known for his particularly interesting recipes. He is known all across the globe. Some say that he originated from over there, which, as we all know, folks, is another country. That's where the second placing Stave of Wonder exists. Now, he was tired of seeing the floats. He decided to look at the earth, see what was on the ground, see what was moving before him on the streets. And here he saw cars and trains and buses and what seemed to be some sort of four-legged marsupial with two heads, a tail, a magnet, and a small cat perched on top of its head. Boy obviously knew what the creature was, but he could not come up with the name for it. He was no expert at biology, folks. He had to pretend he didn't see it. Next thing he saw were children playing, and they were trying out the new fashion. The new fashion involved wearing two socks inside out, stuffed inside bell peppers, and wearing them on your feet. Mothers were encouraging this because it seemed to be healthy for their kids so that they had the sweetest feet with the spiciest walk. Shoelaces were no longer required. And what's this? Some of the children had sandals. But there was something with their feet that seemed quite interesting. Why, they were wearing Invisisocks. How could he have not realized it before? Boy was excited at the marvel that was Invisisocks. They're socks, but you can't quite see them. Finally, a time for people to be comfortable outdoors wearing shoes without ever having to see them. You can finally see your pretty feet without having to give up warmth and comfort. As Boy moved on down to the other streets, he noticed that there were various stands. There was a hot dog stand, a stand-up comedian, a standing ovation, and a standing wall. The wall was really cool because it lit up and told jokes like the stand-up comedian. The stand-up comedian was quite upset with the wall because it told better jokes. And he couldn't talk back to the wall because walls don't talk back. And Boy and his all-knowing weasel proceeded to go back to the meatloaf eating competition to see what became of the winner now that they are fully ingested with meatloaf and gravy. Did they get a prize? What was the prize? Was the prize really just being part of the competition to begin with? As he head back, you notice the mayor was no longer there. And there was simply a very large, very round baseball player, grinning with joy, with gravy stains on his shirt. He was quite satisfied, and he seemed to be holding up some sort of trophy. The trophy was in the shape of a pebble. But no ordinary pebble. No. This was a golden pebble. A nugget, one might say. Everybody loves nuggets. They're the perfect shape for anything. Shape of ice cream, the shape of projectiles. They're the favorite shape of chicken. As he wielded his prize and raised it up like a holy obelisk, Boy stood there and appreciated it. Said this guy must have had a good time and must have been super hungry. He must have been starving himself for days in order to win this. He's earned that nugget. The all-knowing weasel replied,
Yeah, but he's gonna have a bit of constipation later on.
Boy said, Now, I know you know everything, Mr. Weasel, but did you really have to tell me that?
Well, no, not really.
I said, yeah, that's what I thought.
You're listening to the magnificent, fantastic Lake Effect Radios from Lakeland Community College in Cutland, Ohio. Keep on rocking around the clock tower, y'all.
Callan needed a car loan, and she turned to Cardinal Credit Union.
Well, I came to Cardinal and talked to Dietrich about getting a car loan, and he explained everything about the financing step by step, so I understood it.
Being a member of the credit union already, Callan knew that we offered the lowest rates possible.
What I like best about Cardinal is the money that I saved and the money that I'm going to save.
What she said.
For new or used auto loans, it's easy. Just call Cardinal at 440-266-2200. Stop in a branch or apply online at cardinalcu.com. Cardinal President Christine Blake.
Listening to your story, saving you money, anyone can join. Cardinal. People helping people.
Cardinal is open to anyone who lives, works, worships, or attends school in Lake, Cuyahoga, Geauga, Ashtabula, Portage, Summit, Mahoning, Trumbull, or Columbiana counties. This institution is not federally insured. Deposits are insured by American Share Insurance up to $250,000 per account. Loans subject to credit approval. Cardinal Credit Union. People helping people.
Play It Again Sports in Lyndhurst wants to buy your used sporting goods. Bring your gently used gear to Play It Again Sports and get paid. Play It Again Sports in Lyndhurst buys and sells both new and used sporting goods. Come check out their great selection of golf, baseball, snowboards, fitness equipment, and more. Don't forget to bring your used gear to trade in and trade up. Visit Play It Again Sports in Lyndhurst at 5455 Mayfield Road in Lyndhurst, Ohio, in the plaza with Buffalo Wild Wings. Come check out Play It Again Sports in Lyndhurst today.
The Adventures of Boy in the Third Dimension is brought to you by Invisisocks. Do you enjoy wearing comfortable socks but hate that you cannot see your toes? Introducing Invisisocks, the socks that are invisible. Simply slide them on and you'll forget you're even wearing them in the first place. Our rich cotton polyethylene blend ensures maximum comfort while you strut the street with your feet. Invisisocks are microwave safe. Invisisocks comes in packs of 6, 8, and 10. Now back to our program. As Boy conversed with his all-knowing weasel about what they had just talked about, he overheard an announcement by the mayor from a distance afar, not quite sure where, but he can hear it from the echoes off of the buildings. Everyone, just to remind you that National Meatloaf Day has a downstairs party. That is all. Boy was wondering, a downstairs party outdoors? What could he mean by that?
Oh, I know,
said the all-knowing weasel. Boy said, I know you know. I don't need you to tell me what it is. I'll figure it out myself. And Boy pondered, while being pelted by candy by kids walking by. And Boy figured it out. Of course, downstairs to the outdoors must mean the sewers. The National Meatloaf Day must also have festivities in the sewers. And so Boy went to the nearest lid he could and climbed into the sewers. Lo and behold, he was right. There were streamers and balloons, more stands, and people throwing rocks and children at each other. The all-knowing weasel, of course, expecting all of this, was still excited nonetheless because he actually got to see it in person instead of just referencing it back from one of his spots. Careful, the weasel said to Boy. What was it? What do you mean? Boy Boy quickly leaped to the side as he noticed a splash of sewage water rose up just an inch away from where he was standing. Whoa, that was a close one.
Indeed. I'm just letting you know I don't want you smelling bad when we get home.
Bobby said, well, thank you. So Bobby looked around the stands to see if there was anything that really tickled his fancy, really fascinated him, interested him. There weren't too many. Well, there was one. Why, it was a dumbbell throwing competition. And he looked, and it was the very fit guy from the gym he was at a while back. The man with 4 arms and 1 leg. The peak of perfection. The man offered Boy Boy a chance to get back into getting fit. And of course, reminiscent of his time at the gym, Boy Boy saw all the dumbbells lined up. All the ones that he could lift, and all the ones he couldn't lift, and all the ones that he probably thought he could lift, but ended up not lifting. And of course, he was feeling game. He conditioned himself well enough. And he has a pet now, so he can handle responsibility. The weight of responsibility. So he picked up the clear dumbbells. And he chucked them as hard as he could. About 15 times. His arms were sore, but he could throw more. So he picked it up and threw it 15 more times. The man crossed all 4 of his arms and nodded, impressed at the progress that Boy Boy had made since his time starting at the gym. The weasel circled around, trying to dodge the dumbbells as they bounced back. Of course, since it was a contest, he won a sticker. A lovely sticker. It was a sticker of a donut. A donut that smiled. Now, it may not seem like much, folks, but trust me, that sticker can be applied to anything. On desks, on computers, on tables, on windows. And it is quite pleasant to look at. Great for if you're having a pretty down day. You just stare at it and be, haha, the donut's smiling. Donuts don't smile. You eat them. They moved on to the next stall, and it happened to be some sort of recipe stand. And Boba thought, oh, obviously, it's got to be something to do with meatloaf, right? Or maybe some sort of gravy concoction? He was wrong. It was actually a stand for how to make mixtapes. You see, mixtapes require a very peculiar recipe. And you need banana peels from Mongolian bananas. Boy was wondering, well, how do you make mixtapes from Mongolian banana peels? The chef in charge said, well, I'll show you how. As the chef peeled the banana from Mongolia, he threw it in a skillet, flipped the skillet, tossed out the banana peel, stepped on it a few times, picked it back up, threw it into his VCR, clicked rewind, and lo and behold, a mixtape was forged. Well, that's how you make a mixtape out of a Mongolian banana peel. You want to learn another recipe? But we thought, sure. Okay, now listen up. I'm going to take some teriyaki sauce. I'm going to pour it all over this wall that's right behind me. And as it drips off, it's going to pick up a lot of the dirt, you see. I'm going to get a soup ladle, I'm going to scoop it up, and I'm going to simmer for 35 minutes on medium heat. And then I'm going to season it with paprika and cayenne peppers. And then I'm going to strain it. And once I'm done straining it, I'm going to throw it at that guy over there. As he gets upset, I'm going to pluck one of his hairs and serve it on a bun. And that's how you make olives. Well, we thought, wow. I gotta try that recipe at home. Can you give me a written down recipe of this? Sure thing, pal. The weasel looked at Boy Boy and said,
Are you sure you really want to use those recipes? That seems like a lot of work.
Boy Boy looked at the all-knowing weasel and said, I like to be creative in the kitchen from time to time. I mean, I do run a restaurant after all. I would like to include new recipes. The weasel looked back up to Boy Boy and said,
If you say so.
As Boy Boy left the chef at his stall, he moved on over to the attractions. Past the dumbbell throwing contest, of course. Why, it was a mural. A mural swirling with brown and white to represent the meatloaf and the 2 kinds of gravy. Little specks of pepper were demonstrated. And you could see also that some of the meatloaf in the background of the mural was shaped to be a famous singer. Boy, we thought, oh, I see, it's a pun. Ha. Boy walked away from the mural. He wanted to take a picture of it, but he was in the sewers after all. The stink from the water would obviously skew his image, so he couldn't possibly take photography down there. That's probably why it's the downstairs party, so that people cannot archive what they experience down there. Only remember it. They cannot take any photography. That's how you know it's going to be special. So that only the people that are actually there can talk about how great it was. As Boy Boy reached what would presumably be under his own house, sewer-wise, he found that there was a small child with a lemonade stand. And the child looked familiar. "It's you," Boy Boy said. "You were the one that told me about the lawn chair of destiny." The kid said, "Indeed, I am. Would you like to buy some lemonade?" Boy Boy said, "No. I don't want to buy lemonade. I want to know, how did you know about the lawn chair of destiny? Who are you exactly? Are you one of those cyber Amish people too?" The kid just simply smiled and said, "Would you like to buy some lemonade?" The all-knowing weasel said,
I don't know if you should interact with that person.
I said, "Well, why not?"
Well, because I have a lot of information, what was, what is, and what will be, but I have no information on this child.
Boy Boy was perplexed. It meant the all-knowing weasel was more of a most-knowing weasel, because now there was one thing the weasel did not know. What? Boy Boy had a theory behind that. So maybe some of the dirt from the sewer got on one of your spots and is messing up which of your pools of knowledge are actually there. The weasel looked at his fur and said,
Oh, you're right. This is why I gotta keep clean at all times.
The weasel licked its fur, cleaned up its spots, and then immediately knew who the kid was.
I know who that kid is.
I said, "Can you tell me? Can you also explain why they like selling lemonade?" The weasel said,
I can't tell you, for that'd be spoilers.
Boy Boy thought, "Whoa, you mean this kid's going to be involved in one of my future adventures?" The weasel replied,
You heard nothing from me.
The weasel then scurried away.
I'll see you back at the house.
He ran off. As Boy Boy turned back to the kid, seeing if he could probe for more information since the weasel was gone, the kid seemed to sink into his lemonade stand. As Boy Boy walked around the stand to see behind it, he noticed the kid had mysteriously vanished. "Oh no," Boy Boy said. "Who's going to sell this lemonade on National Meatloaf Day?" Of course, realizing that it was unattended, Boy Boy drank all of the lemonade at the stand. He left the money, though, because it's not his. The lemonade, however, is free game. It was the refreshing taste to replace from the pungent smell of the sewers. As Boy Boy scurried away, he encountered yet another mural, but this time the mural was more colorful. It showed two sides of two groups of people fighting, but at the center of it were people wearing golden robes, and they were wielding a chainsaw, and these people seemed to be happy. And then next to it was a smaller image of the same people that were fighting, now also peaceful. Boy Boy wasn't sure how to interpret this. He thought to himself, could this be the secret of National Meatloaf Day? Or is this something completely unrelated? Boy was going to ask himself that later. And by himself, he meant the all-knowing weasel. Well, I had enough, Boy thought to himself. The smell is starting to get to me, and I'm feeling rather nauseous. So Boy decided to climb out of the sewers and head back to the upstairs, that is, the main streets. As he crawled back onto Street, he noticed that the kids had dissipated, the candy was gone too, the floats were starting to sink, and a lot of the parades were starting to conclude. But one of the marching bands was just beginning. It was his favorite band, Looky Loos and the Do-Si-Dos. Their cross-metal pop country was revolutionary in his city. They sold 13 albums, 2 records, a Grammy, a vinyl record, 2 shower curtains, and 1 poster board. Wow, Boy thought, this band is great. I have no idea how the mayor managed to procure them. The mayor appeared right behind Boy. Said, "Well, I thought you wouldn't ask." Boy was like, "Whoa, why'd you get behind me?" The mayor said, "That's not important. What's important is that you recognize the same artists I do. So how would you enjoy the downstairs party?" Boy looked at the mayor and said, "Yeah, it was great. Just not quite sure what exactly I was looking at down there. There were some things I don't think were part of the parade or part of the festivities of National Meatloaf Day." I said, "Such as?" "Well, I saw a kid with a lemonade stand. And then I saw the strange mural." The mayor looked at Boy and said, "I wouldn't worry about those. I mean, there's a lot of elements to this city that you'll just need to explore for yourself, and maybe explore in due time." Boy said, "Well, thank you, sir." Realizing that his favorite band is playing all of the old songs that he wasn't quite too big on, and all the other festivities were concluding, Boy decided to head home and reconvene with the all-knowing weasel. The Adventures of Boy in the Third Dimension is brought to you by the National Pillow Fight Association. The NPFA have been hosting competitive pillow fights since the Nevada trials of 1968. They provide quality commentary and insight on teams from every division, keeping you up to date on the best draft picks, perfect for those considering their own fantasy pillow fight league. Don't forget to look for upcoming tournaments in your area and keep a close eye on the roster. Be sure to grab the official National Pillow Fight Association app for your tablet or smartphone. Now back to our program. As Boy reached his house and entered inside, he noticed the all-knowing weasel chewing up his furniture. Hey, Boy said. "I thought we had a deal." The weasel did a backflip, stared down Boy, and replied,
"Yeah, but I was really bored. I had a lot of candy, but not enough blueberries."
Boy said, "Look, if you wanted blueberries, we could have just gone to the grocery store." Boy decided to converse with the all-knowing weasel. Made some descriptions about the mural he saw down there. The all-knowing weasel replied,
"Oh, you saw that?"
"Well, yes, Boy, he said. "Well, can you explain what that was?" The all-knowing weasel twisted its fur, licked its left paw, and said,
"I could, but I'd rather not. Again, spoilers."
Well, we thought, well, that was fair. So him and the weasel decided to just sit on the currently chewed up couch. He was going to scold his pet later, turn on the TV, and decide to watch whatever was airing in response to the events that would transpire for the day. On the television set, there was a recap of all of the parades and festivities, the competitions that had occurred in downtown for National Meatloaf Day. Of course, there was an image of the now very round baseball player after he won the meatloaf eating contest, wielding his golden nugget in pride. And of course, let's not forget everyone's favorite hamburger helper. Boy was wondering, why are they trying to squeeze a commercial into the recollection of today's festivities? That makes no sense at all. All-knowing ferret was silent. It didn't bother him, folks, though. As Boy finished his viewing of the festivities that occurred during the day, it went back to the marathon of the famous pop singer. As he listened to about 13 tracks, he started to get hungry and thought, man, eating meatloaf in the afternoon really took a lot out of me. Lo and behold, Boy went into his fridge, opened up, and what was he to find? But every shelf of his fridge was now filled with delicious meatloaf. And what was this in his gallon container? Well, it wasn't milk, but gravy. Delicious brown gravy to smother all over the meatloaf. And then he noticed a rather peculiar smell, wondrous smell. He looked in his oven, and somehow a meatloaf was being freshly prepared. He looked at the all-knowing weasel, said, "Hey, did you prepare this?" The all-knowing weasel said,
No, of course not. I can't operate. I'm a weasel. Don't you know?
Boy thought, oh yeah. And then he realized, he thought to himself, maybe this is the spirit of National Meatloaf Day, that those that take part in the glory of meat will return home with a fridge full of meatloaf and gravy, with dinner already being prepared. That's probably why the kids distracted themselves so long by throwing candy at each other. Suddenly it all added up. The all-knowing weasel could smell the aroma from the kitchen. The weasel said,
Wow, it smells really good. It's not blueberries, but I'll take it. Yeah. I promise not to chew on your furniture anymore. Just give me some of that meatloaf.
Boy agreed. He complied. Right around the time that the meatloaf finished being prepared, he slowly removed it from the oven, grabbed himself 2 slices, served one to his hairy friend, and sat down. Boy looked toward the all-knowing weasel, said, "So how was your day?" Now, as the weasel had a mouthful of delicious food, it took him a couple minutes before he could stop. Looked at him and said,
What do you mean, how was my day? You were with me the whole time. It was good, and I'm quite satisfied. I wasn't quite a fan of the downstairs party at downtown, but it was otherwise enjoyable.
Boy was happy with that response. Now, Boy wondered to himself, wow, this is a really good meatloaf. I wonder who made it and how. Are spirits even capable of making meatloaf? Do spirits even know how to make meatloaf? It didn't matter. The food was delicious. And as he consumed every last morsel of his meal, he proceeded over to the sink and washed the dishes. What was he to have for dessert? Well, he looked in his freezer and there's frozen meatloaf with ice gravy. Despite overhearing that everything is meatloaf and gravy, folks, let it be known that on National Meatloaf Day, every bite of meatloaf and every drop of gravy is just as delicious as the first. The only thing stopping you from enjoying it is a full stomach. Or sleep, in case you get very sleepy. Oh boy, Boy thought, as he opened the freezer, pulled out himself a cup of ice gravy, grabbed a spoon, and started digging in. The all-knowing weasel was quite satisfied with his meal and decided to roll on up to Boy's bed to sleep. As Boy filled his stomach with delicious yum-yums from the freezer, He put the rest back to save for another time. Well, Boy Boy thought to himself, I'm going to go to sleep. And so he decided to sleep on the chewed-up couch. That about does it for Boy Boy today. What awaits him in the future? Tune in next week, same time, for the next installment in The Adventures of Boy Boy in the Third Dimension. Before we go, it's time for the letter of the day. C. Until then, be sure to wash your hands before picking your nose. Who knows where it's been? This is Toasted Pencil, signing out.